Welcome back. You're watching live from Paris on France 24. It's time now to find out what's making the buzz in the French media today. James Creedon is here. Good evening to you, James.
Good evening, Laura.
And we start on a very serious note because there's been a lot of reaction pouring in, hasn't there, to the deaths of those 5 French soldiers in Afghanistan, just one day after Sarkozy was there saying troops were coming home.
Exactly. So, I mean, there is a certain amount of, a lot of it is factual coverage for the moment, the fact that those 5 soldiers were killed, and a lot of the websites are giving reaction on that. For instance, L'Express speaks about the deadly strategy of the Taliban, how the Taliban is trying to exist through acts such as this. Le Parisien, they ask how the retreat of troops could be accelerated now, because, of course, over the last number of days, there have been headlines in the French papers saying how overextended the French army is in Libya, in Afghanistan, in Africa. On Twitter, various politicians reacting. Ségolène Royal is being perhaps a little bit unfair to Nicolas Sarkozy, saying that yesterday it was a PR stunt when he brought 2 ill soldiers back on the plane. She says that back as far as very unimpressed, and perhaps trying to capitalise a little on it, saying as back as far as 2008 she called for a troop withdrawal. So basically, yes, and the Canon Enchaîné, they've been talking about it as well. That's a satirical paper out on a Wednesday. So they are basically
Champs-Élysées? What does that mean?
They're talking about the 14th of July, Bastille Day on the Champs-Élysées, but just above that, Afghanistan, Libya, Africa, the French army is basically stuck. They're spread too thin. That was the headline this morning before this news about the 5 soldiers came out. So it's I suppose, ironic timing, given that already yesterday and today there were headlines talking about the army being overextended. And now an incident like this, of course, will only deepen that debate, cause it to be broadened, and give, I suppose, ammunition to those who say that it should be, that withdrawal should happen faster. Because Sarkozy, of course, yesterday said a quarter of all French troops will be pulled out by the end of next year.
OK, let's move on now, because the French women's football team have lost to the United States. 3-1, they're out.
3-1, they're out.
And we were all getting so excited about that.
There were people yelping in the newsroom. I was kind of quite surprised, because ladies football doesn't really have a very big, women's football doesn't have a big following here in France so much. And so, yeah, they're talking about how various, the debate was seized upon by the French Communist Party. So because, as I said, women's football doesn't have much of a following here.
I'm giving James a hard time for that.
Ladies, women's, girls. But anyway, they decided to take advantage, and they published an op-ed in the L'Humanité newspaper saying that this match should have been broadcast on public television, on the state broadcaster, not on a private channel, Direct 8, because you want everyone to have access to the wonderful exploits of women footballers. But the thing is, the Direct 8 channel is available on everybody's TV. It's a terrestrial channel, so it was kind of a pointless argument. They were saying, we want everyone to be able to see this, but everyone can see it already.
People might not have known it was on.
Right. Well,
it didn't have the support that a big
right.
match.
Maybe the publicity behind it that France Télévisions could have given it. Anyway, it was a bit of a pointless final. And on the blog, there's a footballing blog, and they're mocking the Communist Party. They're saying, these people, they haven't even put a candidate in for the presidential election. Maybe they just have too much time on their hands, and they're picking up on an issue like this. And but bizarrely as well, in L'Humanité, they say that it's deplorable that the French state broadcaster is broadcasting a game show at 8:45 p.m. at the time of this match going out, except the match was actually at 6 p.m. So
they're obviously big fans of women's football.
But there was no clash. They got it totally wrong. So basically, the communist arguments...
The communists are very fond of football. We all know that.
Right, and they just kind of made it... They were trying to capitalise on this and really just not doing a very good job of it.
OK, but well done to the team anyway. They got all the way to the semi-finals.
That's right.
So well done. All right, well, moving on to something...
Can I quickly mention Libération? This is actually interesting. This is about the women's football thing as well. They're saying, how come it hasn't got much of a following in France or in the US or elsewhere? And they're saying basically field sports such as this are places of power. It's sort of a male-dominated thing. If field sports kind of are associated with kind of power, if you like. And the only reason that ladies football is very popular in the US is that the big team sports are baseball and American football. So it kind of left an opening for football to be taken kind of over by women in some ways or other. So they're basically saying that field sports generally it's not.
OK, just time then, James, to talk about that little wizard. What's his name?
Harry Potter. This is a bizarre piece of information. The last film is coming out today in France, the last Harry Potter film. And so there are obviously lots of discussion in the press about it. Now, according to a study by a medical review, every weekend that a Harry Potter book came out, there were half the amount of children admitted to emergency rooms, accident and emergency rooms in the UK, as on other weekends where, on a regular
Because they were
weekend.
sitting quietly reading rather than plugging things into sockets.
Absolutely,
and
or
things.
kind of running around the place and
Yeah.
getting involved in accidents. So it's extraordinary. Half the number of children admitted to accident emergency rooms during those weekends. So, I mean, it's probably one of the few books
Harry
out
Potter
there.
saves the government money. That's fantastic.
Exactly. So there you go.
Maybe he should run for president next year.
Perhaps, even though he is fictional, so that might be a problem. Can we finish on the Belle des Pompiers, or do we have time? I don't know.
Very quick, I think.
All
Yeah,
right,
go
14th
ahead.
of July,
Firemen.
fire stations
Always
open
time
up,
for firemen, James.
open up to the public, and basically there's a big party every year. It's to raise money for the fire stations, and this year basically one of them did a Beat It, Michael Jackson Beat It video. It got 120,000 hits online to raise the profile of this. So all over France tonight, fire stations will be open tonight and tomorrow night. And here is a little clip from that video.
Wow.
120,000 clips.
No, not YMCA.
They're doing a little
they're doing their
mime
own.
of Michael Jackson's Beat It. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
There you go. You might
Get
hear
down,
that
you funky
tonight.
firemen. Brilliant. Much more fun than putting out fires. All right, James
Yes, indeed.
Creedon, many
Thank you.
thanks indeed, as always. Up next, though, we have got web news for you. That's coming up now.